Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew this side of Queens, New York fucking city, baby. That's right, I'm going off book. I'm giving love to my hometown and, of course, the amazing A Tribe Called Quest. Why? Because the name of the episode is A Tribble Called Quest. Come on, people. Can you kick it?
Yes,
you can.
Nope.
That's right. Nope. Eric's like, nope.
I'm too old to kicking it.
Nope. Vice Admiral Eric is here, not bugging out that I asked him to change the intro the day of the pod. He did a very good job. Well done. Captain Hawk is here, ready for some electric relaxation. And Commander MC is here with 8 million stories about how amazing this episode is. How we doing? Welcome back. How goes it?
Tribble.
Yep.
We're just going to play with our tribbles.
Yep.
Tribbles. Tribbles. It's not for personal use.
They replicate really fast, so.
They do. They do.
And they make a wonderful cooing noise.
Yes, they really do. I mean, you already know what we're talking about this week, but I'll tell you again anyway. That's right. What happens when the crew need to reignite the proto drive, but the planet need to help with the planet that they need the boronite from is occupied by killer tribbles. That's right. They're there. They're ready. They're going to suck your face off. Why has Martok banished a Klingon scientist to the planet to solve the problem? And what cute little accident comes out of this freaking amazing episode? We're going to break it all down. But first, MC, it's back to you. We need to thank our amazing patron collective at the Ready Room level and above, please.
Thanks to Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Tallulah, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santos, Ken Hui, Tatako Nagumo, Fernanda Nogales, SMK, Laura Linderman, Colin Davidson, Shatterhand 2049, Jesco, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Gildara, Cassie, B. Tellerite, Not Tellerwrong, Maggie Light, Triana Killikis, Wayne Ritz, Skona Vark, Sean, Jay Howard, Anna Yerdadon, Mehalani Uchiyama, Matt Harker, Davey Willett, Tara Poland, Slope74, Rude Parakeet, Joshua Miller, Aaron W., Lanky Guy, Carl Angoli, Michael Kwan, Meredith, Caitlin, Elizabeth Dean, Jim McMahon, Sedano317, Puka Hair, 3 Fries Short, Kate Tip, Tripping the Reed, Alert Over a Pineapple, Sean Manning, Asher, CBF, Chris Waterman, RHCB, Martin Simpson, Norman Buckwald, David Prime Hildebrand, Taryn J. Robinson, Rod Greiner, Eric the Red, Trouble, Jamie Roberts, Honeyberry, Paul Taylor Pitt, and Brett Jones. And as always, a big thank you to our Badmirals, our EPs, Simon Stager, Commander Chris Waterman, Tara Poland, and Brett Jones.
Woo! Let's go.
I have it too, but I don't want to pump it.
I'm gonna be the guy. I'm gonna do it. Do I have it? I know I have it. Is this it? No. I like that though. Where'd it go? I lost it. You don't get it today because I lost it. No. Oh.
I can do it too.
Weekly thing. Do it. Should we have?
I'm lagging again, so I'm just hoping that'll sort itself out.
You just look like you're in a Godzilla movie. It's cool.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. MC's dubbed for the night. It's fine. Speaking of MC, if you're also wondering where Giraffe is off this week. She is traveling for her birthday. So, happy birthday month, happy birthday week to Giraffe. Yeah. News. We are slowly getting through Disco Season 5. And as the collective knows, I've kind of dropped the ball on the watch parties. It's back to school month. It's been brutal.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, man. So, and on top of that, we're trying to navigate still finishing Prodigy coverage and then also fitting in our Lower Deck Season 4 season review ahead of Season 5 and also get the review of all of Season 5 of Disco reviewed as well. Plus, a very special pod that we're planning that is going to be available to everyone. It's going to be a live show, but is going to heavily involve our patrons. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of stuff. So every now and then we just need a little bit of a break, and I dropped the ball on disco watch parties a little bit, but we're going to get there, and we're going to do that review. It'll be sometime soon. I'll just say soon. It'll happen. I'm not going to give it a date, but it'll happen. I had other news on here. I kind of had things out of order. Goodbye, Twitter. I'm not even going to call it Twitter anymore because it stopped being Twitter a long time ago. Goodbye, X. We stayed for a really long time after Elon bought it, and after this weekend's or this Monday's, Tuesdays, whatever day the debate was, and the things that he said towards Taylor Swift, it's not a place to be anymore.
We're not putting up with it. No,
we're not going to support as long as he's the owner. So if you would like to follow our coverage, everything that we do on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck you want to call that cesspool now, Garbage Fire being moved over to Threads, where we cross post everything anyway. So follow us at the same handle at Strange New Pod on Threads and Instagram. That's where we will be doing everything. I know some people are like, well, you're on Blue Sky too, but we have more followers on Threads. Like, we have more than on X somehow, which I find baffling, but also cool. People want to be on Threads apparently. So find us there. But
also, if you want to start following us on Blue Sky, maybe we'll start posting there.
Yeah, that's true too. Yes, but I do like Threads a lot. So, yeah, that's what's happening. So we're not going to really post on X anymore. If they get sold again and it becomes a better place, then we will maybe, take a shuttlecraft back over. But for now, bye-bye. And that by no means says that you have to go sign up for Threads. We're just not going to. So if you're like, we're Strange New Pod, we're just not doing stuff on there anymore. Speaking of the debate, we actually haven't talked about our endorsement since we made it live on the pod. So I will say, if you missed it somehow, the podcast, we all as a whole agreed that we endorsed the Harris Walz campaign. This should not come to a shock to anyone, but we did that. And MC actually has some really cool information about an event coming up.
So they are doing a call, which is Geeks and Nerds for Harris Walz. And if you type that into Google, you can find all of the information on that. And this is going to be a fundraising call for the campaign. And it's going to have lots of cool guests, such as Stacey Abrams, Will Wheaton, George Takei, Jerry Ryan, a bunch of non-Star Trek people. I believe a bunch of people from Supernatural and The Boys are going to be there. Like, it's just going to be a huge nerd event for, nerdy Democrats. So the tickets are free for that. You just need to RSVP at, I believe, Eventbrite. So go check that out.
Go ahead.
Isn't that Linda Carter's thing? She started that?
It is Linda Carter, yes.
Wonder Woman, amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Fantastic. Jack Quaid is also going to be there. People are excited about Jack Quaid in the chat. Yes.
The boys.
Boings is going to be there. The boys too.
He's everywhere we want to be.
Superman and Oppenheimer.
It's like five of the boys are going to be there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also pretty sure that Linda Carter and Misha Collins are going to write some Destiel fan fiction.
Oh my god. Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Matt Harker's saying Anthony Rapp's going to be there too.
I'm sorry, I don't have it pulled up anymore because my computer shut down right before we got started, and I was like, I don't want to open up any other windows.
But literally everyone that you care about is going to be there, so check it out. The last thing I'm going to say regarding our campaign endorsement, universally almost positive on our front from the comments and everybody being excited. There are those, of course, who are going to be like, why don't you stick to Star Trek and podcasting? To which I say, well, this election, even for our friends in Canada, is very fucking important. And we have a platform. And when we have a platform during a time of crisis like this, this is a time to use that platform. And we are going to use it to endorse sanity And that's the only word I'm going to use. If you want sanity, this is the endorsement that you needed to make. And that's the last thing I'm going to say about it.
Don't vote for
We
Lord.
just passed to the Bell riots. Star Trek is political, always has been.
Always will be as well. So,
Yeah. I mean, like I'm as politically neutral as they come. I don't really care, but at the same time, I can't fathom another 4 years of him.
yep.
No.
No, we don't want it.
No. By the way, if you want to cross over to the other galaxy far, far away real quick.
Canada?
No, the Star Wars universe, it was stated by Emperor Palpatine that Loth cats were being eaten. Us over at Sounds from Lothal have confirmed with the local Lothal government that no Loth cats have been harmed as of late. So, yes. I have
Loth
to do
cat's
that
gonna
because
eat
I
you.
love that meme. A Loth cat's gonna eat you, and then a Loth wolf will pick the rest. So, let's move on to Heroes and Villains, which is our amazing friends. They actually just did something really fucking cool today. They launched a Lord of the Rings collection. Go check that out.
Ooh.
Yeah. And if you didn't hear us gush about it enough, their new Star Wars luggage collection is also freaking insane. If you want to get it and you've never ordered from heroesandvillains.com before, now is definitely a very good time to use that code STRANGE to get 20% off your first order. Go and do that. Did I miss anything? Does anybody else have any news? Good?
Oh, good.
Good?
We're good.
Sorry.
Oh, I do want to mention too that Taylor Swift is a Trekkie. So, you know, that
way.
rocks.
Maybe she'll get on that call.
Yeah, right. Maybe she will. Let's get to the strange new loop. So, rich history with the Tribbles, from, you know, Trouble with Tribbles to the TAS counterpart, which was called what? MC, you're the
More
TAS.
trouble, more troubles.
More trouble, more tribbles, to Trials and Tribulations from DS9, a lovely tribute. And then, of course, more recently, The Trouble with Edward, which is brilliant. So with that said, if there was one guest star from one of the many Tribble episodes you would have added to this episode, and it doesn't even have to be from the Tribble episodes, just really any guest star to have been on this one, who would it have been and why? I know it's toughy this week.
It's not even like really tough. I know the answer. I'm just trying to remember what his name is now. Considering how much they build up the whole Klingon thing, in basically every single Tribble episode, except for the Trouble with Edward, because in TOS, it's the Klingons on the station. In the TA, more trouble, more Tribbles. Again, there's Klingons, and there's a Klingon in this. I think he would have to go back to the OG Klingon in that episode and get Arn Darvin, who we know is still alive because of the DS9 episode. He was just in prison.
Cyrano Jones, right?
No, Arn Darvin is the Klingon who like changed his face so that he could. Right. Yeah, and then in the DS9 episode, he tried to assassinate Kirk with like the bomb in the Tribble. He's still around, so he just ended up going to Federation jail, but at this point he might be out.
Yeah, true. Good answer. Who else has got one? Chat, let us know as well.
I got one.
Hit it, Eric.
I would love a descendant of Edward to show up. Then we just find out that Tribbles have been plaguing that family forever, and it's just like a generational thing that they just keep on dealing with them. I think that would be hilarious.
He's like the Klingon. What's his name? Kuruvrang's like research assistant, whoever this ancestor is. Oh man, that'd be brilliant. I like it. Hawk, go ahead.
I did have one thought. What if it were a descendant of Lynn Lucera, the captain whose career was pretty much destroyed by Edwards and the Tribbles? A descendant of hers is still haunted by the memory of what happened to their ancestor.
Her and Edward just constant like descendants of them.
Just trying to like out to destroy Tribbles and eradicate the threat with the same passion of the Klingons.
Her family is the reason Starbase 80 was created, right? Like, just send all the misfits there.
We also need more bright pink tribbles.
I agree with this. Yes. Yeah. I have a very standard gold tribble.
The bright pink tribbles are the best.
They are. I love them. I love it. The secret Klingon from TOS. Yeah, Dana. Yeah, absolutely. What MC said. We haven't had Worf animated yet. And he's been on like every Star Trek series now, except I think for Voyager. It's time for animated Worf. This would have been a great episode to see him like massively uncomfortable for 23 minutes trying to fight off Klingons. And you know, he's buddy
I mean,
with
trying to fight off tribbles.
Did I say Klingons? Yes.
You did.
Trying to fight off Tribbles. You know, he's part of the House of Martok. He could have sent Worf along to like check in on this guy, make sure he's doing okay.
That would have been
animated
cool.
Worf, I think, would have been awesome. Yeah, and you know, it's like we get the jab in Star Trek Picard too, right? The mighty Klingon, you know, set back by the even mightier attack Tribble. Oh man.
I mean, there's also like Martok would be just seeing him against tribbles would be amazing.
Yep. Agreed. Good answers. Good answers. Chat is silent on this one. Okay, chat. I see you. Maybe it'll come up with something later. This was a bit of a tough one. I have a mirror universe tribble. That's super cool. That's awesome. Jeffrey Combs as a new character. Brett Jones says a
tribble.
Jeffrey Combs is all the characters.
Yeah.
All of his characters in this.
Exactly. Let's get to our review. It is episode, I believe this is 213. Yes, 213 of Star Trek Prodigy, a Tribble Called Quest, which does win the best award for best episode title of a Star Trek episode ever. I don't think it's close. I will not be taking any questions. Our order tonight will go MC, Eric, Hawk, followed by myself. Let's go right to the top. Rock's monologue, right? This episode opens with Rock talking about how a star is formed, so like cool science information for the kiddos out there, which I really enjoyed, and how Janeway found the perfect planet, because of course they found the perfect planet. There's a planet that has every plot device that they need to create the artificial star needed to power the protocore. I think what's been really cool about this season of Prodigy specifically is that they've given, I think, most of the crew, if not all of them, a chance to do like a monologue like this to open an episode, or like a officer's log. What do we think about Rock getting the opportunity to do this, MC?
I think this is really good because Rock is like the perfect character to do this info dump while making it not sound like an info dump, because she's just so excited about science. And it also really neatly sets up her whole arc for this episode, because I don't want to say it's the pride before the fall, because it's not like she's like super prideful, but there is this level of confidence that Rock has in this. Like, she's all very rah-rah science and does not see any way that it's going to go wrong. And that kind of keeps on going until she makes a big mistake, and that sends her into a spiral. So it's really nice because she has had this. I mean, she's brilliant, so she hasn't really had any stumbles so far. So it's nice to have that reaffirmed in this, her first big episode of the season.
Nice, love it. Eric?
I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of my kids, because I watched this with them today, and like they've watched all of them, and all of the opening chats have been cool and all, but this is the one where they sort of like perked up, because I think that Rock really speaks to them on a level, because she sounds younger, so immediately there's that recognition there, but she brought terms down to their level that they were like, oh, that's cool. I would love to know how a star is made and all this stuff. And like, props to the writing team for making science so accessible for people of that age, and to make it interesting enough and in such short like dialogue that they'll be like, okay, I want to learn about this now. And that's what this did. And I loved it. I thought it was an amazing little speech at the beginning.
Nice.
Good for listening to Dr. Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good for listening to Dr. Aaron. And also, like, I think it's just I think it's a great time for this because I know that not every school program in the country, definitely not all of them, have STEM programs, but a lot more are getting them. And like, I'm very privileged to like send my kids to a school that has a STEM program. And like they do find this stuff interesting. So yeah, from a kid's point of view, this is really cool. And like Eric said, really accessible. Hawk, go ahead.
First up, a shout out to the animators because that whole opening scene in that, which
My God.
you see the gases in that forming a new star in that, just incredible. It's such a striking visual. Rock is one of my favorite characters, so I'm glad it was her turn this time in that to get the the monologue, Stardate opening kind of thing. And yeah, I love how it seems like every single episode there is like one teachable moment in that for kids in that. And the writers seem to be making a big point of it in that to introduce kids to science information in a way that they can take it in. They speak on their level in that, but they don't speak down to kids. I think this is one of the strongest points of the show and of the writing staff in it. And yeah, just a beautiful opening.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Brett in the chat says, I agree. My son, who's 9, is now obsessed just within the last couple of months. Great show for parents to watch with their kids. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I've got the rebellious kids. They just like rebelled against Prodigy this season. Like I think they watched most of it. Caleb was into it, but like Cecily is just kind of gone into her realm of things, and that's totally fine. She still finds science really cool, so I will take
it's
that.
not fine. It's not fine.
No,
it's fine, Eric. They have to grow up sometimes.
I'll tell you
I
though,
guess.
like she'll watch. I guarantee you, she'll watch all Lower Decks, and she'll definitely watch Strange New Worlds. So I'll take the.
Her tastes are maturing. That's awesome.
They are. That's the problem too. I think it's like she has been like that for years. Like she's always, I think, been into like just like a little bit more like mature stuff than like her usual age group. So it is what it is. I'm fine with it. We also have a moment here where on the planet when they beam down, Dahl makes a comment about like, he's like, by the way, we have 2 MCs.
There's 2 MCs. I don't know what's going on.
There we go. We are now back to 1 MC. So who's the hologram now, Hawk? Oh man,
there can be only one MC.
New SMP controversy. Not cutting this.
Excuse me. I think I'm the new Thomas Riker.
Yeah, that works for me. I like that. Yeah, where Dahl makes this comment about how he extended the range of the tricorder to scan for boronite, and Gwyn still kind of being like a little nasty to him. Oh, how'd you come up with that? And we have Chakotay once again being that father figure towards Dahl, like, hey, that was good thinking, like, well done. What do we think about kind of the continuity of that, right? Like on that brief moment kind of happening to show that he's still kind of, there for Dahl, MC.
Well, I think it's really important for Dahl because Dahl absolutely needs parental figures. I mean, he had like the terrible Ferengi in season 1 who raised him, and then he ended up, a slave. Oh. So like he has not had any like supportive parental figures until holographic Janeway, and now he's got Chakotay, and Chakotay has always had that kind of father to his men thing going on. That was kind of like the whole thing with Janeway and Chakotay on Voyager. They were mom and dad. So this is very much just a continuation of kind of how Chakotay was on the ship on Voyager. So it tracks with both characters, and I like it.
Eric?
I didn't think Gwen was being nasty with him. I think she was more surprised that he figured out something.
Fair. Yeah.
And yeah, like MC said, like sort of the Chakotay way. There's no Ensign Kim to, father around or any youngins there. So he got Dahl. And I like that he's sort of taking him under the wing. And it's sort of, I think he's realizing, like he's slowly realizing that he doesn't have to lead to be important in this crew. He just wants to contribute, which I think is good.
Yeah, agreed. Hawk?
Yeah, same. They continued on. We had that kind of revelation in the last episode, not about Dahl's future, him discussing with Chakotay, and Chakotay saying, it's okay to be a second, and that, it's like, be a good support structure and that within the team. And I think Dahl's starting to pick up on it, and that was kind of clever of him. Changing around the tricorder limitations and that to scan for boromite in a larger scale. I'm glad they kind of touched on that very briefly in that before we really get into the fun of this episode.
Yeah, and I also think it's important. I think it's really important for Chakotay as much as it is for Dahl, right? Like, this is like Chakotay's recovery of being a Starfleet officer again, And it's like, even though these kids aren't his crew, they kind of are now. And Dahl is, I don't want to say Dahl's his first officer because that's a little bit much, but he's taking it upon him to be his protege, basically, and that is giving Chakotay a purpose after 10 years of being by himself. So I think it's really great for Dahl, and I think it's really great for the character of Chakotay as well. So let's talk about the mighty Klingon taken aback by the even mightier attack Tribble. One of my favorite Riker lines of all time. Rock discovers early on that the planet is infested, like straight up. It destroyed this planet with genetically modified tribbles, which she finds out through being bitten by a tribble, which we know are cute and fuzzy and fuck like bunnies, but don't bite you. What do we think about?
And they don't actually fuck. They reproduce asexually.
So they fuck themselves like bunnies. I guess. I don't know.
I thought this was a PG.
I know, we've totally abandoned it.
No. We made a rule like 2 weeks ago. We're not doing PG
Julian swore like in the first minute.
No, we're not PG anymore. It's too hard. No, I'm kidding.
That's what you said.
Well, now it's definitely not.
I don't have an applause button.
I do.
Wait,
it's too late.
It's
too late.
It's gone.
Too late.
The moment
is gone. We also get Chakotay referencing, which I thought was brilliant, that, the Klingons were brought to their knees by the Tribbles and almost brought down the entire empire. I'm combining these kind of two talking points into one. What do we think about this? Like the fact that this became a Tribble episode and then it was going to involve Klingons.
I think it absolutely had to, because like I said, every Tribble episode has involved the Klingons except the Tribble with Edward. So they go together. I believe even in the Kelvinverse comics, when they did the Tribbles, they had the Klingons in there. Oh, that's my Kelvin reference for the episode.
I will go one further, MC. Bones is doing research on a Tribble while in orbit of Kronos.
That is true.
Into darkness. So there you go.
I do have to say I am surprised they did Tribbles just from an animation standpoint, because if you look at the character designs, like they try to stay as far away from hair as possible. Like they chose a melanoid slime worm, and rock is made of rock, and the way they designed Gwen and her species is like tender, not hair. Meanwhile, Tribbles are nothing but hair, and that is one thing that when I first saw them appear on the screen, I was like, are those Tribbles? They kind of look like Tribbles, but they're weird and spiky. So it was kind of, I thought, an interesting pull for them. I mean, granted, Tribbles absolutely iconic, so it's a good thing to pull. But yeah, I thought that was just interesting from an animation standpoint. But yeah, Klingons, I like having them in here because also, while we have Worf talking about the Klingon Tribble War, we've never actually seen like I'm going to sound really full of myself by saying this, like any like geopolitical stuff, like what are the Klingons really trying to do in terms of getting rid of the tribbles. We've heard that they bombed the tribble homeworld, but that's not going to do any good. And we know that DS9 really messed things up in terms of the tribbles because they had all of those tribbles at the end of that episode. So this is very cool. And actually bringing in the genetic manipulation of them pulls it back to the TAS episode, the More Trouble, More Tribbles, because in that episode, because I'm probably the only person who's seen that episode here because I like TAS, Cyrano Jones is trying to create a tribble that won't reproduce, but it ends up creating a like massive, instead of reproducing into many tribbles, it turns into one giant tribble. But then it turns out that it's like one tribble that's actually made up of like a lot of other tribbles. So
nice. Eric?
And they pink.
And they pink.
I'm gonna go off the design thing first. I love the design. I thought it was so cool. Now I want it reminds me of how Doll's hair is sort of like spiky but like wavy at the same time, and they sort of did the same thing with him. Now I want to see what Doll looks like with real hair, like a real life one. I want to see how his hair. I assume it's just awesome, like it is. Also, when the first tribble bit Rock, I was sitting there, I was like, is this like did they get one of these attack tribbles and bring it into Picard season 3? Like, is that the same? Like, is that a descendant of this attack tribble? Like,
well, judging by what we learned about the fact that like the portal technology in this season is the same portal technology in Picard season 3, I'm gonna assume that it's the same attack tribble.
Yeah,
I think we should.
The teeth are just a little bit more. They just
a little bit more.
Section 31 decide to genetically modify a little bit more. And the fact that this is a Rock episode and then it deals with tribbles really pulls back to the first episode of the season where she's doing that talk at Starfleet Academy, and she's talking about tribbles and all that stuff, and it's a nice little pullback, or maybe that was a nice foreshadowing way back that they were going to have this episode. Like I thought it was great. I thought,
yeah. Matt's talking about portal tech from Disco season 5 episode 1. Oh yeah, that's right. I think it is the same tech as well. That's absolutely right. Yeah. I think we talked about that. I think Aaron Walke actually talked about that, and Jorg on X. I'm gonna miss seeing Jorg's stuff. That's like hurting right now, is not being on there to see his stuff.
Threads, or is it Blue Sky that they're on?
Oh, I gotta. Hopefully one of them. Who's up?
I think that is me. Yeah. So for it being that kind of Tribble episode, yeah, if you're gonna do a Tribble episode, go hardcore. Do a disaster Tribble episode, because those are always the best kind. Otherwise it's just a little fuzzy ball that they're experimenting on all the time. No, show them when they're like at their most dangerous, and that's what was so great about this one, because they kind of up the threat of them now. Not just, devouring food and that, but devouring people and whole planets. And like you saw, like that planet and that the tracks in the ground, like desiccation all around in that, you knew that something was very, very wrong with tribbles in this one. And yet they quickly find out how wrong they are. I love this. I don't know what else I can add.
I just want to say, I think it's really cool, going back to the animation point, that when I watched, and maybe when we all watched the trailer for this, I didn't know that these were tribbles. That was not, because the animation's so different, they're going a different route, because doing hair is hard in animation. But the fact that they are tribbles is just so freaking cool. No, I think they killed it. I think it was a really fun way. And it does make them look menacing, right? Like a giant ball of fur is menacing in a kid show episode. And I shouldn't say kid show, because it's really, again, is a Trek show for everybody, but again, catered towards kids. And there was a stampede, Zero got hurt, we're going to talk about that later. there's consequences to these tribbles being genetically modified. So so it is, again, a deep cut. It is not just a Tribble episode, but a Klingon Tribble episode. There is a Klingon scientist on the planet, Dr. I'm going to butcher his name, Kaurvang, who was sent to the planet by Martok, which I also think is interesting, right? Martok's been Chancellor for maybe like 10 years now, and this is something he's focusing on instead of maybe bringing like unity back in the Empire. Maybe this was a big deal. It's like when you fill out the surveys, what do you want to see most from your Chancellor? And, you know, people voted highly for end the Tribble Scourge once and for all. So he sent this dude and banned him until he figured out the Tribble problem. But again, it's a deep cut to TOS. It's a deep cut to DS9. Thoughts on Dr. Kuovrang and having a Klingon be, a focus of this as well, MC?
Well, just on the whole Martok thing, like being worried about this, do we actually know about the political situation on Kronos at the time?
Yes, kind of. So because of the ongoing Star Trek comics, which I believe are considered canon at this point.
Oh, right, yeah.
So they haven't had a great time. Like Kalis decided to go batshit crazy and start a war to try and kill gods and took over Kronos. And I think actually had Martok imprisoned for a while. So there was like another Klingon civil war. It was kind of a mess. So his chancellorship has been a bit rough. And
I totally forgot this was at the same time.
It's not the same time. This is, I think, actually a few years after at this point. But still, like, probably a lot to recover from after that. And this might be like a nice little like, hey, what about the Tribbles? That'll make everybody feel good.
It's a really easy thing to take care of. And we don't know how... I don't think Dr. Kurovang, whatever his name is, sorry, I don't know Klingon names. I don't think he said how long he'd been there.
No, I don't think he could have been there
either. For a very long time. Like, it could have been that Martok forgot he was there.
Which is something Martok would do.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a Klingon scientist. Nobody gives a shit about Klingon scientists.
Yeah. Yep. Eric.
I don't know what to add to this. I just like I like that he's there. I like that there's been this long history of distress between the Klingons and the Tribbles, and that Martok's like, you know what? This is the thing. I'm gonna do this. This is the one thing that's gonna defy my rule. And he's like, just one, not a team of Klingons, just one scientist. You go over there, you figure out this one thing, you can come back when you figure it out. Like, that's brutal. Which is something he would do too.
Yep, 100%. I mean, we know that Martok's a bit petty too. Like, it was Kang, right, that he had like huge issues with, and like didn't want him to serve on a ship, and Worf had to like go to bat for him. It was either Kang or Kor, I forget which one. Yeah. Hawk, anything to add to this?
Just that I think MC's right. It's like Klingons don't really give a shit about their scientists and that if they're not like, designing new weapons and or new engines and that for their fighters, then like they're assigning them these tasks, and to be fair, like, the Klingons, they're not the forgive and forget type. The Tribbles, they think of as a blood enemy and probably still the biggest threat to their empire, and that just that their very existence is still there, is still a question. It kind of all fits. They take this scientist and that who does this one thing, like in genetics and that, and assign him to defeat one of their biggest blood enemies, and that his honor's at stake. It feels like kind of a perfect boiling pot for this character to be out there on his own for all these years. And maybe Martok did forget, but again, Klingons never forget. So
I want to go off script here for a minute and talk about the Klingon Tribble blood war. Let's talk about how we think this all started for a second, because I feel like it's got to be something stupidly simple. Like, a Klingon thought it would be really cute, or because Klingons don't really think things are cute except Targs, but like maybe one just like accidentally stuck on the ship and a Klingon was like, oh, look at this cute, horrifying thing. I will bring it to Kronos. And that's literally how all of this went bad. How do you guys think this started? MC has an answer.
I have a bit of a theory. It's
Is it bunnies?
No, it is engineers versus xenomorphs. The Klingons decided to use Tribbles as biological warfare because they will eat a planet, to nothing. And maybe, you can't tell where the tribbles go. One or two of them stay on the bird of prey and end up back on Kronos, and it becomes an infestation. And then the Klingons, aren't going to put up with that sort of slight. So they have to, commit tribble genocide.
I love it.
I'm gonna go off the xenomorph thing because I want Edward to be like the what were they called? The architects. He's the no, not even the engineers. He's Michael, and he just takes him to he wants to destroy all the Klingons because of the war that happened, and so he drops a big load of them on wherever.
It's dark, Eric.
I mean.
And I mean, they do keep on getting the tribbles, thrown at them. Because, that's how Trouble with Tribbles ends. And that's also how I believe More Trouble and More Tribbles ends. The Klingons just keep on getting infested with the tribbles. And actually, just, thinking about, Martok, not giving a shit about his scientists, actually, putting a geneticist in charge of the tribble problem is probably a really smart way to do it. Because... fixing the tribble, literally fixing the tribbles so that they can't breed, is probably going to work a lot better than to try to, as most Klingons would be, try to, hit them with their batleths, because it's just, you can't swing that fast. The tribbles just keep on reproducing. And Martok is at least smart enough to recognize that this is not a problem that can be solved by, killing.
Yeah, I like it. Hawk?
How did that go? I don't know. I imagine with the Klingon Empire and that having colonies all over the galaxy and that it probably started from there, because you also got to remember tribbles naturally are they don't like Klingons.
That's right.
They don't.
Yeah,
they love every other species in the universe and that. But as soon as they get in front of Klingons, they're just hissing and that.
So what we're saying is tribbles are racist.
Well,
but I mean Klingons too. So
Klingons too.
Yeah. Yeah. They recognize in Klingons and that's something that they dislike and that.
It's because they both have a keen sense of smell. I just looked it up. That's why they both inherently dislike each other.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Kind of love that.
Yeah. I mean,
Nice.
So maybe it's not just a vendetta on the Klingons' part in that. Maybe part of it is a vendetta on the Tribbles' part too.
Our tribbles really, I almost said our Klingons, our tribbles because I don't believe tribbles are actually considered sentient.
Yeah.
No, they're dumb. I think they say that in Trouble with Edward, that they're straight up dumb. They don't have brains. But maybe Section 31 added brains to them, added, awareness. That's something Section 31 would do.
Tribbles with spies.
Tribbles. Tribbles would make not great spies.
No,
They would destroy their target.
They would. Oh man. Tribble philosophy 101. Episode. I like this one. Let's get back to the episode at hand. And that's creating a retrovirus, trying to help Guvrang come up with what Martok sent him off to do. Rock does realize after Magell points out that their main mission is to get the boronite to help reconstruct the protocore. But as Rock calls it, which I think everybody loved, is a problemtunity. She could help create a tribble retrovirus that would also clear out the layer where the boronite they need is, and all at the same time help restore Guvrang's honor. What do we think about the problemtunity aspect of the episode?
Okay, just to bring this back to politics for a minute, I would like our politicians to start using problemtunity.
Yes.
It's perfect. Just on the boronite, I didn't mention this before, that it is such a Star Trek cliche that I'm pretty sure it's on Star Trek bingo sheets where it's the one planet where you can get this thing that you have to have for the next plot thing to happen.
Every episode of Voyager.
Yeah, or even TOS, that happened all the time. Rock, this thing where she's gonna come up with the retrovirus, you could just see the seething on Guru Vang's like part, like where it's just like this kid is schooling me. And I loved it because I love Rock and I want Rock to be brilliant. But then it also still feeds into that Rock is going to fail and not be able to handle it thing.
Yeah. Eric?
I had a long talk with my kids about problem opportunities today when we were watching. They're like, that's a cool idea. Like figuring out like if something goes wrong, like it'll probably bring up something else that you could figure it out. Like that's such a good idea. And then we had a long talk about it. Like this is such a good episode for kids. Like this whole sequence. And then later when Rock gets something wrong, and we'll talk about it later, but that like everything in this episode was like a chatting opportunity about like emotional growth with my kids. And like this part was so good for that because I know my middle child, she like if something goes wrong, she sort of like breaks down. Like she's in grade 1. She's still trying to figure out her
I still
emotions.
do that. So
yeah, we all do at points. Yeah. So for her to be like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe we'll figure out something. And I was like, God, that Star Trek, you're awesome. And so I think it's amazing. I think this was just a good thing for them to introduce and for Rock to be the person to introduce it.
Nice. Hawk?
I'm glad like this is a whole setup for the Rock's episode, and that it's the problem tunity, and that also a way for her to use all this her love and accumulation of knowledge and science and that and go in for an actual practical application of that. I know she has in the past and that, but like this seems very much like a problem tunity that was created for her, perfect for her. And I love her enthusiasm about it. And problem tunity, that is a great expression.
It's catchy.
Like,
it's like phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we all know chaos is a ladder. It's like if there is, it's like all, in chaos there is opportunities, and there's there's opportunities to solve those problems. So, problem tunity. I mean, yeah, it needs to be a t-shirt, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like too how there's people in the room who don't know how Rock got so smart, and they kind of have to dance around the subject a little bit. It's like, how do you know? Like Chakotay was like, how do you know that kid? She's like, oh, we were stuck in this thing, and for this many, and I forget who said it, whether it was Dollar, and was like, oh yeah, over the course of 10 minutes, and like I think they want to say, oh no, Rock was stuck in a time loop for 10 years by herself, and learned temporal mechanics and
everything,
warp theory, literally everything. She's probably one of the most brilliant minds in the universe because of that. But it's also sad, and Chakotay probably doesn't need more sad right now. I really liked that as well. Like it's kind of that throwback to season 1. Let's talk about Mijel and Gwyn, because we get a little bit of a break from this episode. Like that's something that I think we talk about with Prodigy so much over the course of the season, is that they fit so much into 23 minutes, and they have enough time for Mijel and Gwyn to go have like a talk. They just like about their own collective, like, I don't know, I guess anxieties. And, it's a really nice moment between the two about how Mijel feels out of place, but despite, Wes telling her that her place is there, and, Gwyn, longing for, trying to fix Solemn. What do we think about their conversation and this episode kind of taking this brief moment to focus on them, MC?
I mean, not to throw shade, but I'm going to throw shade that, a season of Prodigy has the same amount of time in it as a season of Strange New Worlds. And I know more about Mijel in, half a season as I do Ortegas in 2. But to not be mean, I love this scene. Like, we talked earlier in the season about how Mijel and Gwyn have some overlapping characteristics. And at first, it kind of takes away from Gwen a little bit. because you're trying to build up Majel as a character, and Gwen is obviously having these problems, and she's not the same level of kick-ass as she was in season 1. And having this scene between them, these two characters that do have a lot in common, it's really nice to have this bonding. And also, we love passing the Bechdel test. I mean, granted, Gwen and Rock do talk, but more people to pass the Bechdel test, always good.
Nice, agreed. Eric.
I love when people sort of shove this show to the side and is like, this is a show for kids. And then you can show them a scene like this, where they have two strong female characters, like talking to each other and sort of, propping themselves up. Like they're not only being, they're like, they're unburdening themselves to each other, but they're also like propping, like they got each other's backs. They don't know each other for such a long time. And they're already like, I got you and I got you. And, Vulcans feel really deeply, but we have to hide it and stuff. Like it's such an amazing scene to show like this camaraderie between these two amazing characters. And MC is right. I know more about Majel than most of the crew on Strange New Worlds. We can even say some of the crew on Disco too, which is sort of sad.
No, the only thing we still know about Ortega's is that she fought in the Klingon War and that she flies the ship.
She flies the ship.
Yeah.
So,
and listen, Melissa Navia will say that too. Like, it's not. Yeah, it's 100% correct.
But yeah, I love the scene. Yeah,
nice. Hawk.
Yeah, this was a great moment. Like for the life of me, I know it's like still Majel is very kind of in this. She's early on in her scenes in this show. I mean, like she kind of was introduced kind of into the team later in the first 10 episodes, and that it's kind of the first scene between her and Gwen that really stuck out in my mind. And again, it was a great scene, and also emphasized like how this show is kind of about the misfit characters, right? It's like we have a Vulcan who's not really, doesn't really kind of fit in with other Vulcans, right? Because she seems much more like kind of, what's the word? I think empathetic is probably the word, and it's probably like that's a no word in Vulcan culture, I guess. But she's a lot more empathetic in that, in the way she kind of deals with people. And like, that's kind of why she's in this crew. And again, like with this whole episode and that, a Klingon scientist, with again, another misnomer, but this show has a great way of focusing in on the misfits and what kind of brings them together and that, and in that, their commonalities with each other. Right. Gwen and her share a great moment about how maybe not fitting in with their, with where they're supposed to, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be logical. It's like Hope. It doesn't have to be logical.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. No, I adore this scene. I adore how it was shot and the animation for it. It just, I don't know. There's something really cool. It not that we ever really see this in the Voyage Home, but like we just see kind of like the size and scale of like what a bird of prey is, and like it's like an intimate moment. And Star Trek has shown us that like a bird of prey is not a large vessel. It is an intimate ship where probably intimate things happen. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm just like, I'm sure that like everybody living on a bird of prey knows everything about each other, and showing the two like sit on top of the ship and kind of spill their guts to each other, I think is kind of like this, I don't know, just like kind of beautiful poetry to it. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but it makes sense to me. And I really love it. And I adored this scene in an episode that's a Tribble episode. We get something so powerful, and I really enjoyed it.
You know what it felt like? It felt like a John Hughes moment. Like they're both on top of
I
like
could see that, yeah.
just talking to each other. I was like, damn, those are great feels.
Yeah.
Instead of a car parked out in the middle of a football field and that looking up at the stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Bribble. I called it the Bribble. The Bribbable. The Bribbable. No, let's talk about the Bribble and I guess Paramount's not doing any marketing on the show because it's on Netflix. But another missed marketing opportunity at the moment.
I'm working on it.
MC.
I'm working on it. Working on it.
So Rock accidentally creates a cute Tribble Brickar hybrid because she sneezes on her DNA sample. And it's really fucking with her self-esteem, badly, right? Because we don't see Rock mess up a lot. And, the crew, and I think this is one of the things that makes this crew so strong and so cohesive and such a family is they're all quickly like, it happens. Mistakes happen. How many mistakes have we all made together? It's going to be okay. And mistakes happen in research all the time. That's how you find out new things in research, is by making those mistakes. But she can't let it go because I think this is the first time that she, at least in her opinion, she's had some kind of failure. And in the field that she loves too, and that she's trying to get into Starfleet Academy for, which we know she takes very seriously. What did we think about this? Because it's sad to see it, but it's also, I think, a lot of growth for the character. MC.
I mean, spiraling because you made a mistake. Huge mood. Can totally relate. And yeah, no, I've been saying this, that, Rock is a genius, and Rock has always been doing like really great things. And you need to have this humbling moment because a scientist who thinks they can do no wrong is very dangerous. And I mean, like, I think the Bribble thing turned out okay, but actually what happened is like something that Rock should have taken care of, because that's why you do science in sterile environments. And I think like with the Bribble, I mean, it's like really preying on Rock because it's a living embodiment of her mistake. And not only that, it's cute, which is something that Rock loves. And if you think about it, it's kind of Rock's kid.
I was about to say, it's her kid. It's her DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it looks like Rock.
It does. It really does.
Adorable.
Yep.
But Rock's adorable too. So
Yeah. Eric?
I mean, what parent hasn't had a little mistake and seemed like a little clone of themselves?
Dave Grohl. Oh, sorry. Did I say that out loud?
But yeah, another teachable moment. Like, everyone makes mistakes, and someone who's been so perfect on this show, it was nice for my kids to be like, hey, look, even Rock has made a mistake. And, sometimes you make a mistake and you sort of flip out about it, but, we're here to support you. That was a super dad moment when I did that. I was like, yeah,
dude. Yes.
We're always here for you. Don't worry. You make a mistake.
didn't Miss Frizzle always say make a mistake?
I tell them,
Messy, make a mistake.
I every morning when we go to school, I say, take chances, make mistakes, which is what Miss Frizzle said.
Okay.
So,
Eric, I'm going to steal that from you.
because, and I say that to
Frizzle,
them,
I
it's
guess.
like, you learn more from screwing up. And I say screwing up, or sometimes even fucking up, because I swear in front of my kids all the time. And like, that's
Same,
fine.
friends,
It's fine.
same.
Right.
Yep.
And like, some of the things like I learned in my life, the things that I love are done from mistakes. Like, I learned I can do some stuff because I screwed up in one spot, and I was like, oh, this is even better. Right. So like, that's where you find your best parts. It's also like when I tell them to be bored so you can learn some stuff. Go be bored sometimes.
I wish my kids would be bored.
I know, right? It's hard for them. But to end this off, like, Bribble, Paramount, come on, man, give us something. I want a toy Bribble. Just give me like a little. We didn't even get the Prodigy toys up in Canada. Give us up all of them and a Bribble. Just do it. Come on.
That's the thing. If Netflix renews season 3, then Netflix owns it, and then they can make the merch. And Netflix isn't as bad at merch as Paramount. So renew season 3. Come on, let's go. Do it. Hawk.
you guys have covered this pretty well. I mean, like, yes, in science, there is no progress without failure, and that mistakes happen in that. But also, mistakes can also lead to significant like developments in that. I mean, we have penicillin because somebody left a sandwich in a laboratory, like, over the weekend. Um, and yeah, but what's so funny is that like Rock was so horrified by her own mistake and that the cuteness of it was completely lost on her at first.
Yeah.
Rock is usually the one who's just like loves cute things and that, but like it looking back up at her and that, it actually reminded me of a passage from Frankenstein and that when Frankenstein, first awakens the monster looks up at him and smiles, because that's his daddy and that. But Frankenstein is horrified because he realizes it's a mistake.
Yeah.
And I think Rock has a similar moment there. But yeah, messy lab, could be helped. It's a Klingon scientist on his own for like ages. So what kind of accusations was she expecting?
No EV suits, no hazard suits on a Klingon bird of prey.
Not even a cleanup on the.
There's some on the protostar.
True. Okay. Yes. Point taken. The Bribble's cute. That's it. No, I actually, Rock is one of my favorite characters, and to see her go through this actually, I think was really important for her character. I'm really happy they did this and gave her this moment, because Rock has been struggling all season, actually, right? When you think about it, she struggled with not wanting to be around, Dahl and by default her friends who were helping Dahl, because she wants more than anything, I think, out of all of them to be in Starfleet. So she struggled with that at the beginning of the season, and now she's struggling, with just one. I mean, it's actually, like, when you think about it, it is hard to call a tiny mistake, because it is her blood and that is kind of her child.
And now her responsibility. But I think it's huge character growth, and I loved it. Let's talk about the plan and the finale, the climax here. They get two teams to solve this issue, right? Dahl and Gwyn set up the transporter zone, the transporter inhibitors, or not inhibitors. What are they called? Transport things.
Beacons? Was that it?
Beacons. Sure, we'll call them beacons.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So they set up the zone to transport up the Bornite, which they do, right? The rest of the crew is support for them if anything goes wrong. The Protostar Protocore, it happens at the end of the episode. We'll just say it happens now for continuity and stuff. But they beam it up. The Protocore lights up. But then our Dahl and Gwyn are cornered by tribbles, and it's getting bad. So Chakotay's like, okay, this team needs to go actually extract the extraction team. And the rest of the crew go to save them, but it doesn't look good. Looks like they're all about to get eaten by these tribbles or stampeded again. They're firing phasers. The Klingon's like, that wasn't the stun setting. We have a problem. But then the Bribble comes out and pulls a mighty Simba roar at the rest of the tribbles, to which I obviously translated as "fuck off, go away, don't hurt my mom," which I think is what it said. So the tribbles go away. Kuvrang sings a song of Klingon glory. Rock's antidote works, albeit I think like weeks later it had to settle in, I guess. Yeah, and as I said earlier, the protodrive reignites. Thoughts on the climax and finale of this episode, MC?
Honestly, this is, I think, the weakest part of the episode. It's just like a bunch of stuff happens, and it's like it just kind of, to me, felt more like, well, we got to wrap this stuff up. But that's fine. Sometimes you have an episode that goes that way.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. Eric?
I mean, it felt very Star Trek-y, how it happened. Like, obviously, obviously the beacons are going to get fucked up. So they have to figure out to do something. And they go down and, Brittle's there to save the day because they got introduced this episode, right? And Rock needs to be like, oh,
Machina, yeah.
Bribble is very important to this crew. Maybe we'll keep her or them. I did like that the Klingon victory song from TNG was in there. That was fun.
Yes.
Yeah, Sheo.
Well, We'll have Hawk's rendition recorded for next week's episode.
That'll just be the outro
Look out for
music.
that. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, this is good. Eric, anything else?
Nah.
Hawk?
By the way, it was pattern enhancers.
Pattern enhancers is the
All
correct
right.
answer.
Yep, that makes
get
sense.
A biscuit.
Send that to Davey Willett for
Yeah, there you go.
expert.
There you go.
Please don't. I'm still having flashbacks from MC's slaughter of me.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It was an ending. It was going to work out, as it should have in that. But it was nice to see that, Bribble wasn't a mistake and ended up saving them at the end. So, yeah, I don't really have that much thoughts on this, actually. It was an ending, right?
It was an ending. I mean, so to add to that and to what MC said, like, yeah, sometimes episodes need to end this way. It's not like you can end an episode of Star Trek Prodigy with the kids getting trampled and murdered by tribbles, and then the credits roll. And I guess no season 3, guys. That's how you really get rid of Star Trek Prodigy. And then the great tribble slaughter happened. The end.
Yeah.
Join us for a new
There
kid
were
show
no
in 10 years.
survivors.
No. Oh man, imagine if they did. Oh man, I kind of actually love that. There's a fanfic out there being written right now of Tribble Slaughter. MC, write that please.
Nah.
No, don't. No,
Nah.
that's dark as fuck. Mars writes Klingon tribe mashup. Yes, give it. Oh no, sorry. We have one more talking point to talk about, and that's Zero, because they kind of had to throw in something with Zero's new body getting messed up. They do show a Tribble stampede, and Zero is the one caught in the Tribble stampede. I believe their leg gets broken beyond repair. Zero kind of realizes, hey, this is the decision I made. We knew this time was going to come. I just didn't think it was going to be this soon. But something great that I think resonates throughout the rest of the season is born through this, and that's this kind of unlikely close friendship that begins between Zero and Jankum. What did we think about this moment of Zero having that stampede happen, and then, kind of be at the mercy of Jankum, who's very sympathetic to what Zero is going through? MC.
Well, I love the friendship between Zero and Jankum. I do feel that they're kind of the odd characters out, because Dahl and Gwyn obviously have this super close friendship, or maybe more than friendship. And Rock just loves everybody. And so these two are kind of the outliers. So it kind of makes sense that they should, kind of gravitate more towards each other. And I think that they approach things differently than everyone else. And the Zero's body being damaged so quickly, I don't know. I watched the whole season, and now I'm rewatching week by week for the episodes. And just I'm feeling right now like it's happened really quickly.
Yeah.
Like they could have teased it out a bit longer. Like instead of going for like the leg right away, maybe like having Zero like hurt their wrist, and suddenly it's like, oh, my hand's not working quite as well. And instead of like kind of after this, like it's like a very quick march towards oblivion for this body.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it happens at like warp speed. Yeah. Eric?
For someone who has such long legs to be the slowest runner out of all of them, I was just like, But like
getting used to the leg.
Yeah, they're getting used to the
really
leg.
know what running is.
It's true.
Yeah.
But it was really fast. And the fact that, and we all have seen this season, I'm sure everyone in the chat and who's listening to this has seen this season. The fact that they got rid of the body so fast was sort of sad. I really liked it. I liked this transformation. But yeah, it didn't Zero just get it like 3 episodes ago?
Three episodes ago.
Something like that.
That's crazy. But yeah, the Jankum and Zero relationship is really cool. I like having Jankum be like in quiet moments. Like it's very rare for him to be quiet. So for him to just sort of like calm down and just be there for Zero was really nice and very touching. And the blossoming of this friendship is really cool.
Yeah. Hawk?
Yeah, it's sad that, we know that Zero, loved having this body, but we also knew the consequences. And that, I mean, their choice was, isolation on that planet, and, where it's like the body would continually be renewed and that, or you have to leave and, join your friends. And Zero wasn't about to abandon their friends. So this was the consequence. They didn't expect it to happen this soon, but it did, because, space and these travels are dangerous. It reminds me of Q in that, talking to Picard, it's dangerous out here. If you can't stand a bloody nose and that, you might as well go home and crawl under your bed. And the friendship that seems to be emerging between Zero and Jankum, yeah, it's I love that awkward moment Jankum has. Jankum has no bedside manner. But then again, an inspiring quote. It's it's like when something broken, Jankum makes a new one.
Yeah.
There's something that we said, like he would have, like in the first season, he would have just left.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
At this, but because of how much they've grown together, like he actually stays and is just there to be with Zero. That's amazing.
I lived for this moment because I think I've said this time and time and time again, almost to the point of nauseum. Like, Jankum sucked for me in season 1. Just like, felt like a useless character, to put it bluntly. I just love what they did with him in this season. Like, I feel like they made him 3-dimensional. They gave him a real personality, and they gave him a friendship that I think is really important. Like, this scene with him and Zero, like, you could overlook it as just another scene, but I think it's super important. And the way that it carries on later into the kind of the final episodes of the season is really beautiful. Like, and that's something that the show does well, even though, we've talked about, well, is putting Gwyn and Dahl in a physical relationship a mistake or not? Like, this is something is just strictly a friendship, right? Even though they do get close, like they become good friends, right? Like, and that's it though. And I think that's really important to show kids as well, that like strong friendships exist, and this is the dawning of one. And I thought it was great. Final thoughts on this episode. We will go in reverse. Hawk.
It was such a fun, unusual little episode. It's the episodicness that we always felt missing from series related Star Trek, like serial episodes of Star Trek. But it's fun. It's you learn a couple things here and there. Some characters, friendships develop in unexpected places that we just talked about. Like I said, the ending, it was an ending, as we said, but overall, one of the best episodes of the season.
Yeah. Eric?
I really like this episode as a parent. Like, it was a great episode to watch with my kids, and something that sparked so many discussions. Tomorrow we're going to learn about stars and how they're born. NASA has a great resource of that on their website. So I was researching that earlier today. So this show has been so good for kids' development. Like, you can throw it off as just another cartoon show, but Nickelodeon in particular seems to be really good at teaching, or at least having an underlying teaching moment in most of their shows. That, from what at least the ones I've watched. So I don't know all the Nickelodeon shows, but definitely this and like Avatar and like shows like that. They're not just kids shows. They're meant for everyone, but they're always something to teach someone, which is great.
And just to pick up on that real quick, before you go, MC, like, I think this is not just the relationship that Netflix has with the Hagemans and Aaron from their prior work on the streaming service, but like, they just do animation and kids stories and wholesome kids stories really well. Mm-hmm. It's going to sound so stupid for me to say this, but a show that my son absolutely loves, it's that Hot Wheels show that's on there. And it's literally them, like, they have cars and they go around the spinny things that we all played with as kids. But like one of the stories that I caught Caleb watching the other day was like how they had to fight in the dark, and one of the racers is afraid of the dark. Like that's like a stigma that kids get made fun of in school, and this show like tackled that, right? And so they gave the kid a glow in the dark Hot Wheels car, and it was like this really wholesome thing. And Netflix does that really well, and I think that's the reason that they picked up Prodigy. And I hope and I dream that they pick it up for a season 3 and make it a part of their permanent family, because of moments like Eric had, like with his kids, and all the other animation that Netflix does. Yeah. MC?
Okay, hear me out. This episode to me is structurally like a Deep Space Nine episode. And I mean that in the best way possible, because I think, and I still think, that Deep Space Nine is the only series that managed to straddle the line between episodic and serialized storytelling, something which every other Trek series has leaned too far one way or the other. Mm-hmm. Prodigy is, I think, the only one that hasn't, that is managed to do like the serialized storytelling, but also the fun episodic episodes like this, because this definitely does have elements of the main plot line where it's like, we got to get the protostar to Voyager because of the, all of the time travel shenanigans and everything. But that doesn't matter. That's just background to this wacky adventure with attack tribbles and this wonderful character arc for Rock, which is just such a Deep Space Nine thing, where it's just like, we're going to have the episodic storyline, which is kind of goofy, the background of the overarching of the series, and then a story that develops one of our characters. So I love it.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know what else I could say. This is one of my favorite episodes of the season. I was so excited to watch it when I saw the title, and it did it so much justice. Yeah, this is just fantastic. Let's get to the subspace to poll and mailbag. Who wants to take it?
Oh, I can take it if you want.
Hit it, Hawk.
All right. We asked Trek Threads what they thought about this one, and this is what they had to say at the time of this recording. 56% said Tribblicious. 22% said Bribbltastic. 11% said Tribbles Bite. And another 11% said Tribble Stampede Me.
All right, not a lot of votes yet because we're doing the stuff on Threads now. So if you want to take part, make sure you go to Threads from here on out. Yeah, no, this episode was fantastic. So Hawk took that, which means that if we're going in that order, it is me. I will take NYRLite's mailbag, who wrote, Rock calling the Tribble situation a problem-tunity is another reason why I love her character. Rock is the Prodigy character who I'd want to be. I'm not a fan of Bribble, but I'm admittedly not the target audience for Bribble.
Everybody is the target audience.
Right? Oh, man. Can you take Troubles, please, MC?
Trouble wrote, someone get me a Bribble plushie ASAP. Working on it. I didn't think Tribbles could get cuter until seeing that. Probably the greatest combination of Trek species since...
Why?
Banned forever.
Jesus.
Get off my bridge. I want to know what the hell is going on.
Rock is also pure joy in this episode, and it makes it even more adorable.
Oh boy.
Trouble, you're canceled.
That was amazing.
I'm gonna embarrass Trouble right now for a minute to end the show. So I was honored to celebrate her birthday this past weekend in New York, and Trouble decided to ask the dinner table their opinions on Tuvix, thinking that she might get people to side with her. And oh boy, did that go oh so horribly wrong. That entire table was anti-Tuvix, and boy, was I glad to be a part of that. It felt so good.
Amazing.
It was great. Eric, take us home, please, with Mars's mailbag.
Mars wrote, once again, Prodigy is picking up all the threads from Star Trek canon and weaving this lovely tapestry. Tribble brought joy to my child, who is the intended audience. The idea that mistakes help us learn and grow versus always being perfect brought my inner child joy, and as a parent too.
Very, very nice. That was very good. That's it. That's it for Tribe Called Tribble, which I totally called a different name because it can be that too. I actually like that one as well. But it's actually called A Tribble Called Quest. This episode, man. Wow. So much fun. We're back next week live with another two-parter. I believe it's Ascension, or is the name of the episode?
I thought next week is Broken Mirror.
I am sorry. You're right. It is Broken Mirror because I have a special t-shirt to wear. Thank you, MC, for being more on top of the pod than I am.
I was reading the episode list on
Good
Netflix.
job. Good
Just a
job.
fair warning, I might not be here for next week's episode because I left my wallet in El Segundo.
Nah. Oh, that was good, Hawk.
Cracked
that
mirror.
was good. That was very good. Cracked mirror. That's right. Oh man. Oh yeah. That's right. Way to make it sad. Donnie's in chat reminding us that James Darren passed, who was
Oh yeah.
yeah
Oh, yeah.
yeah DS9. Oh man, that's sad. Yeah, leave one out for him and buy his album on iTunes because you should. It's all those
And
songs
watch
you love from
the episode
Vix.
I can't remember the name of right now. Which is
In a Pale
shame 'cause
Moonlight?
it's- No,
Not in a
one-
Pale
It's only
Moonlight.
a
No, it's
Paper
only a
Moon.
Paper Moon.
It's only a paper moon. Yes, thank you. Yes, watch that
Moon
episode 'cause
and-
it's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. That's it for this one. We will be back next week with Cracked Mirror. We'll have Tuvix and we'll have Mirror, Janeway, and Chakotay, and Jellicoe in charge of Voyager. That's a weird one. It's going to be so much fun. We will see you next week. For Hawk, for Eric, for MC, I am Julian. Live long and prosper. Majram, Sarcastic Vulcan, salute. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.